Hi everyone, it's Laurel O'Sullivan, your Astro Advocate, here to talk to you about the energies for November 16th and specifically to talk about relationships because we are in Scorpio season and Scorpio is the sign of relationships. But before I dive into the three lessons that we can learn this week, I want to give a little bit of a context. And this is a really good time for taking inventory because the energies are shifting, they're going to be speeding up. And so, what has shifted for you this year? What have you understood about yourself in a new way? This is the theme about redefining our relationship with power into the structures in our lives. That's what we're all being asked to do in 2020 because we have this big energy being defined by Saturn and Pluto in the sign of Capricorn. And we only have 4 more weeks of this energy. And so it's really important to understand that Pluto first went into Capricorn in 2008. And so in 2020, we are being asked to do the deep psychic emotional excavation, which is what Scorpio season is about. We're reaching a pivotal point where there's something that's wanting to shift and change in us. And because Scorpio is about relationships, and the new moon that we experienced on November 15th was giving us a very healing energy. We're being supported to transform our relationship. Scorpio energy, what is that about? It's raw and it's real, and we're starting to feel it now more because Mars just went direct. So the first few weeks of Scorpio season, we weren't feeling it as much. But since November 13th, with Mars, the ruler of Scorpio, going direct, we're feeling it. And Scorpio is about the natural cycle of life, of birth and death and endings and beginnings. It's the energy of renewal. So there's something wanting to be renewed within our relationships. And it's also a psychological sign, Scorpio. And it connects us with its fears and it connects us with what makes us uncomfortable. Scorpio is the energy of things that are uncomfortable that people don't like to talk about, like money, sex, politics, intimacy. We have to face ourselves in our fears. That is always the very clear message during Scorpio season. And there's a process of alchemy with Scorpio, of like turning lead into gold, of transformation. And it can also be a bit of feeling like a crisis or an intensity because the fears that we feel are meant to transform us, and we're being asked to step up to who we really are. Scorpio is not a sign of superficiality. It is the most intense sign of the zodiac. Most Scorpios, myself included, don't really have a high tolerance for superficiality. So they Scorpio likes to get to the root of things, to look at the duality, to look at the light and the dark, and to what really is going on beneath the surface. So we are at this watershed moment of being asked in the next 30 days, in particular, how to heal and transform energies that we might be carrying with us from previous lives, but specifically going back to even 2008. So the focus this week is on intimacy, power, and rebirth. And we are potentially feeling some discomfort. And that's the discomfort that arises when our higher self is wanting to make changes and our ego is resisting that. And basically, why does our ego resist? Because it wants to keep us safe. And so we're being asked in Scorpio season to look beyond that comfortable zone. And you've probably heard the expression, growth is when we become comfortable with the uncomfortable. And that is classic Scorpio energy. And the last thing I'll say about the energy of Scorpio is it's a little bit like wearing night vision goggles. We can see what's happening, even though it's not apparent by sight or through our feelings. And this is the first lesson of this week in general about Scorpio. It's about connecting with our deeper knowing, our intuition, and when we're asking what needs to be changed within our relationships. We're being supported this week to trust ourselves. Why is that? Well, we have Mars in Aries along with Chiron, which is very much a primal energy, and it's opposing Venus in Libra. So this is giving some courage and objectivity to state what it is that we really need in relationships. That's the first way. Then we have Taurus, or Uranus in Taurus. And Taurus is an earth energy. It's strong and it's stable, but when it connects with Uranus, there's something that suddenly shifts within us, within our a mental breakthrough, where we're not willing to let something sit anymore. It doesn't feel right within our body. So that's the second way we're being supported to trust to go into our energy. And it's about allowing your heart to be louder, that desire, um, the energy of Venus and Libra to be louder than the Sun in Scorpio. And that Sun in Scorpio is about our fears and trying to keep us safe. So there's a pathway that's opening up here in November that you didn't think was possible. So first lesson, connect with your deeper knowing and trust your instincts and your intuition and know that you are being supported with those energies I just spoke of. The second lesson is understanding that our fears are only here to keep us safe. And when we recognize that, they lose their grip to keep us stuck. Because let's face it, our fears, our worries, our anxieties, those can really keep us in our mind and keep us spinning in a loop. And a lot of times again, during Scorpio season, it's about the energy or the fears we've accumulated from other people about our past experiences, past hurts and relationships. And so we want to prevent that same thing from happening again so that we don't get hurt again. But when we go deeper, and here we're being supported with Mercury in Scorpio. This is very much the energy of the investigator. Mercury is our mental energy, and when it's in Scorpio, which is about going deep, it wants to get below the surface of things and understand. We're doing fact finding and looking at hidden motivations to understand where our fears really come from. And when we have that understanding, we can transform them. And it's a really strong form of self-empowerment when we can tap into this Mercury and Scorpio energy and not be afraid to look at the duality, the light and the dark that exists within our relationships. Because again, when we can transform our fears and realize we're allowed to rise up above. And that is also a Scorpio energy. It's a rising up above. The low level energy of Scorpio is represented by the scorpion and the sting that we all kind of think about. But the higher level is the phoenix or the eagle. So how can we rise above our fears and realize that we are no longer the same purpose and that those fears are no longer serving us or keeping us from being safe so that we don't spiral down or become a prisoner of our mind. And that we do learn from the past. Okay, so that brings me to the third lesson, which is that you are being supported and have the power to renegotiate your relationships this week because we are stronger than we realize. And one of the ways we're becoming stronger is by tapping into our fears and realizing the real purpose of those. So this week, Venus is making a couple of different squares. And a square we experience as a friction or a tension within ourselves. It suggests there's something that needs to be evolved within our relationship. So the first square that's happening earlier in the week is Venus is making a square to Jupiter and Pluto. And so there's a need for, Pluto is our fears and sort of the shadow side of love. So there's a need to kind of look at where there might be issues of power and control or how those have caused some hurt and pain in our relationships. And again, the relationships can be a partner, a colleague, a friend. It doesn't just need to be a romantic relationship. And we're being asked to look at what is our own part to own in that and what is our own self-worth and currency. Now, the second square that's happening, where we're being asked to go in and reassess, is between Venus and Saturn. That's happening November 19th. And Saturn is a checkpoint energy. It wants us to set some boundaries so that we can even out any imbalances in that relationship. What needs to be evolved? And with the Sun in Scorpio, there are things that are going to be revealed. There's something from the past that needs to be released. So these are some ways that we can allow our intuition, our deeper knowing to help guide us, and then know that this week it is about renegotiating our relationships by letting go of the past. With that Mars again in Aries, that's that primal energy. Something's wanting to be changed and transformed. We've been thinking about this for the last 2 months and actually going back further than that to 2008. And it's really important with that Mars and Aries energy to not suppress it, to not be reactive, but to use that in its highest possible way from a place of courage where our fears are no longer dominating us. So I hope that this has been helpful. I hope this can become a guidepost for you this week as you navigate the energies. If you did enjoy this video, I would deeply appreciate it if you would like, share, or subscribe. And if you're wondering how this energy is impacting you, where Scorpio is in your chart, I do offer birth chart consultations. There's a link below. And I also offer monthly subscription-based mentorship coaching to help you navigate transitions and change in your own life, working with the energies in your birth chart. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video, and if you have any ideas or topics you would like me to cover, please leave those in the comments, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.